Good morning to you, remote teacher. Today in this video, we're going to look at what I've learned as a teacher that are the best strategies that promote student engagement on Google Classroom. So let's begin. The purpose is not to review the features of Google Classroom. It's mainly to look at the workflow as a teacher when you do your planning, student doing the work, and then getting feedback channels about those, and what we're going to cover also what are the drawbacks. So our objectives are basically those. So first of all, what I'd like to start is that the first thing that I've noticed that works really well with students is the following, and this is not going to shake the earth, it's not groundbreaking stuff, but laying it out in a very simple way and concise way can go a long way. And by this, I basically write the list of tasks that the students have got to do. Task A is to finish the work by the time. You can see this is not an assignment, it's just a note posted on an announcement posted on Google Classroom. Then the tasks are numbered: task 1, learn vocab, and the link is immediately followed. And you will see that I don't use the feature where I click add link at the bottom. I add the link directly into the text, as you can see on the post below. So and that usually removes the confusion, because if you have got quite a couple of links, sometimes students get confused, and we all know that this is a bad thing. So here we are. Also, I think that you got online tasks and textbook tasks, and one of the thing that works well with that is I think you've got a variety of the type of tasks that you're coming across. So just having numbers and using letters and A, B, A1, 1.1, 1.1, 1.2 as a type of task, as you would do in a normal classroom in a lesson to lay out the work, is something that has worked really well, I think, because the students have got clarity if you use that consistently all the time on your Google Classroom. And it's quite obvious. So I'm starting off with in terms of the Google, in the preparation of your work before the lessons take place. Also, it makes your life easier because you've got a one-stop shop to see what you actually set. The second thing that I wanted to talk is I think it's absolutely crucial to have a student feedback channel. And by what that means in the classroom, it would not be about, it's where when you start answering questions and looking at what students are struggling with in terms of comprehension. Students have got lots of questions when you teach remotely, I think, even more than in a normal classroom, what you've got to do, particularly probably because they're not so used to it. But I've set up that little group chat on Google Hangout. I know that Google is phasing it out, but I find it very useful. Make sure you activate join using a link. You can copy that link and you can paste it on your Google Classroom directly into the text, remember? And students can join your group, and you've got absolutely nothing to do, no students to invite, and you will know also if they've joined in, which is a great strategy. Why is it important to have a student feedback channel? Well, it is crucial in my views, because this is the point where, just as in a normal classroom, they will be able to ask questions. You can see in this list, all the bits that are written in white are the bits that the students have posted. So it's their questions, things that they are unsure about, and regardless the quality of your instructions, they will always have students. You always will have students that have got questions about some aspects of those. So and I think the group chat is great because I think if you tell them that they can answer to each other there, then students know that they've got somewhere they could ask other people before asking the teacher. And actually, in my classroom, I try to promote the independent learning strategy that some people use for called 3 before me. And by 3 before me, it's basically a strategy that they ask 3 students before asking the teacher. So it's exactly the same thing that applies here on my Google Hangout chat, which links seamlessly with Google Classroom because they can go on and off. Also, what I've done in terms of a learning feedback, student feedback channel, is I sometimes post screenshot of their work and say, oh, this week prize to best presentation goes to blah, blah, blah. And I model the best work that the students have worked. So there is kind of a peer pressure element to this, that the students perhaps who've done something that is not as good, at least they've got a model to what some students have done. So I think that's very powerful. But that doesn't tell you what the students are actually doing. So the next tip, and what I found to be useful, is to, of course, and obviously, to have assignments on Google Classroom that you can see here. So you've got an assignment, and my students in the group chat said they were a little bit fed up of doing online tasks. So I thought I would give them a little bit of textbook and exercise book tasks, the good old exercise book. And I think sometimes it's good to have a variety. In fact, in here you can see that I've got online tasks, and I also got some actual paper-based tasks. And I think that's very powerful because they do enjoy that. But how could you check if they are doing things in their exercise book? And I know this is not rocket science either. They can just take pictures of their work and give you evidence. So what I do is I post the correction of the exercise at some point during the week, and they can self-assess, as I encourage to, and ask questions on the group chat if they are confused about anything. Within their assignment, then we can set up a rubric, and for example, there is to take a photo of their work, and if it's not uploaded, they get 0 points. If it's uploaded, they get 50 points, and if it's uploaded and they include dates, exercise numbers, pages, and work on their presentation, they get 100%. And this is something that really helps you once you've done that, because you go into your assignment task, and basically you can get something like this, where you got the student work and you can see what they've done week after week. In fact, I don't even post an assignment per week. I just keep the same assignment and I ask students to resubmit tasks to it. Okay, so I think that's a great tool to see where students are and to touch base and see what are the issues. You can also read the actual work and see how those. And I like to take little screenshots as well, like this, and post them on the group chat later on to actually not do that, to actually talk to the students. Oh, there's a student that has written to me. So in there you can post then a little photo and say that the work has been great, and that's great standard. So that is the third aspect. That was the learning feedback channel. The Google assignments are the learning feedback. That's where you, as a teacher, know what the students are progressing, when the group chat is actually the working channel, if you wish, that they use during the work, and Google Classroom is the pre-phase, or the lesson planning stage, if you wish, where you just lay out the tasks. Now, those were my 3 tips. One tip was about laying out the work, one was about the student feedback channel with the group chat, and finally the one where how to get feedback and get feedback to them in the assignments, which you can write comments and you can build a base of comments in there that you can use. So as I said, if you want to know more about this, find out how Google Classroom assignments work. The purpose of this video is not that. Finally, the drawbacks about Google Classroom is that you can't really see, unless the student posts things, you can't really see what students have seen and have not seen. And that, I think, is one of the reasons, for example, my school is not working in that direction at the moment. We're using Google Classroom, but we're also using another application that tells us what the students have accessed, so we can track more easily. So hopefully you found that useful, and I think we've reviewed some workflow strategies to organize your work as a teacher and make sure that the students are doing the work. And then you can always follow up with the students that are perhaps a little bit behind, but at least that is what I do, and I have found to work best. As you can see, the students are engaged and they are posting following this. I've done that for all my classes, and although it seems to work less with the younger students, it seems to work quite well with the older students from 15 and onwards. Okay, so hopefully you found this video useful. Please feel free to share with anyone and put a thumb up if you've stuck to the end.